It's just interesting, I feel kind of lucky to have have found these.
Yeah, those are super
Just gives
cool.
you an insight to how things were, and always heard stories.
And they're like, the artwork on them, just like, it's just.
Excuse me.
I haven't gotten the new book yet this year because it wasn't out when I went to Sportsman's yet. It was just 2025 still.
Yeah, no, that's right.
It should be.
Well, look
out. I think it's out. So, yeah, out of
How they-
TNT.
Well, but also too, like, it's just it's a tagged animal, but it looks like just like a burlap sack on
Yeah,
the
just
'60s.
tied it around there.
It's like,
They
okay,
were-
hold them down,
Yeah.
and we're gonna put these ear tags. They did ear tags,
Yeah.
which I don't know if they do ear tags. I haven't seen one in a while. I've never seen one.
I have seen like cattle type ear tags,
Sure,
and then I've seen collars.
I don't
Several
know if
colors.
I've ever seen one
Yeah,
in an elk herd probably. But.
I've seen does, mule does. All right, I'm gonna hit record on the podcast. Well, first let's get comfortable.
Yeah, I'm not even. Get the gags out, man.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
I don't even want to wear these.
No.
Well, I think
The only thing with wearing them, the only advantage is it gives us a little bit of an audio leg, so we don't talk over each other. That's the only advantage. But Dylan never wears
I'll
it.
just keep my mouth shut. No,
Well, as long as
Okay.
we don't talk over each
You want to
other.
hear this is the problem why?
Hmm.
I'm one of those people that if I'm talking to you and there's a window behind you, I'll catch my glimpse. I'll go.
Yeah. You're
It's the
staring at the.
I will
buttons outside.
stare at myself in the window
Uh,
like some damn animal. Like I don't know how to explain it, but one of my old coworkers was like, she ran the office I worked in back in the day, and she was like, "Why do you do that?" I'm like, "I don't know." It's the same thing with this. I'll catch myself. Isn't that ridiculous?
That's pretty funny.
It's funny,
Yeah.
but it's like I'll be like, "Yeah, having a conversation." I'll be like, "Yeah," and I'll keep talking, and I'll see
Like,
myself.
my hair doesn't look quite right.
What's left of it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with the headphones.
Yeah.
I'll catch myself listening to myself.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I think,
I think-
when you're not used to listening to yourself, your voice is very alien.
Oh yeah. There's definitely that element. I've just done this enough that it doesn't bother me. All right, so we're gonna get rolling. I'm gonna hit record, and then I'll kind of intro us in, and then I want to intro us into the pigeon hunting, but then have you kind of take over.
Yeah,
from
I'd
there.
be interested to see like.
I want you to hear my perception. and
At
then
first, I want to hear your perception of it because besides my best childhood friend, you are probably the only other person I've ever brought there.
Yeah.
Because it's the outsider thing, and we'll talk about that because that's a thing I think people deal with a little bit when they're trying to get. But you've been noticed. We'll talk about it. But you've been noticed the second day. They're like, "Hey, where's your pal at?"
Right.
Real
Yeah,
quick,
they
they're
warmed
like,
up fast.
they warm up fast too, which is great.
The first day, not so much.
Yeah, they thought you were like some copper. It was really weird.
Oh, it's fun. I was a game warden.
Yeah, who the hell's that guy? Who's that tall guy that looks like you?
Okay, here we go. All right, welcome back to the Outdoor Adventures Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Williams. I have him with me in the studio, Chris Hayden.
Good morning.
Buddy Chris. Haven't seen him in a little while. We're both busy. First time in the studio for 6 months. So it's been a bit of a lag, and not because I didn't want to get back in here, because I love talking about hunting and fishing and outdoors, but it just life, For me, I don't have any major big excuses. Just, I call it life domestica, which is the domestic life, I guess. Probably not the right way to say it. You would know better than me because you're more linguistic than I am.
Maybe.
But, it's making lunches and doing dishes and cleaning up the house and taking kids to school and sporting events, and that can just take over your life. But since the last podcast, which was in June, I've been to a few gun shows. Chris and I went pigeon hunting, bandtail pigeon hunting, to be clear. We also went on a little grouse hunting trip. I did some deer hunting, got to go out on a salmon fishing trip with some buddies. Got to actually land a Chinook that I didn't hook, but got to reel in, which was nice. And that's pretty much what I've been up to in the outdoors. How about you, Chris? Have you done much this fall?
After the grouse hunting, the only outdoor related stuff I've done is going to landowners who I have permission to hunt on, and making sure some guys that have worked for me this last year who've helped me, who've had 615 tags, you know, Little Lemon Valley tags, be like, hey, you mind if this guy comes? That's about it. That's been my, well, it's just been too busy.
So you've been hooking your buddies up with good
Well,
hunting
they're
spots.
younger guys and they drew the tags. And for people who don't know, that 615 tag is like 97% private land.
Mhm.
So you have to know someone. And throughout the years, I have cultivated a group of properties, you know, building the people's trust and to where I can just show up and hunt. And these guys have helped me with some of my home builds. Like, hey, I just need this extra set of hands to unload stuff. I go grab one of them. So I've been kind of just like, maybe it's not the best idea, like long term, you know, having someone like if I show up and they're there now. But like I said, they're young guys, so I want to get them some good opportunities.
Helping that next generation.
Well, yeah,
already.
and some of them are already more accomplished at their age than I was
Mhm.
with hunting,
Oh,
which is
these
nice
hunt-
to see.
A lot of these hunters coming up because of YouTube and just
Oh.
they do so much research. They can be so meticulous and they know everything about their gun. And I've seen a lot of good success this year from guys that got out. I didn't blacktail hunt. My son had a blacktail tag in his pocket, but I don't want to push my son. It's only his second year hunting. He's 13, and I don't want him to feel the pressure, like, you know, you have to go hunting because it's a hobby that I want him to enjoy. He loved his first year and we found success, but this year I would ask him every Thursday or Friday, hey, do you want to go out blacktail hunting this weekend? And he just kept telling me no. And I finally just said, okay, I'm not going to force it on him this year. Like if he doesn't want to go, I went on a 2-week Eastern Oregon mule deer hunt. We went for the whole season and a few days ahead of season, just because everything in Oregon is changing in 2026 as far as where the unit boundaries are. And we wanted our unit the way it always has been and have one more big hunt at it. And I harvested my buck on like the second or third day, and then I just hung out with my cousins and tried to get them on a big one, which we had an opportunity to big one, but it didn't quite come together. But we filled 4 out of 6 tags and
That's good.
brought some meat home, and it was a good hunt.
With kids too, it's like everyone's like a lot of people I talk to are like slow walking their kids into the hunting thing, but I didn't have that. At least with fishing specifically, it's like my dad's like dragging you out on the boat.
Yeah.
Freezing.
Shivering the whole time. Yeah.
And now it's weird too because now I have a nephew. It's like 13, and I have a young daughter. And when we're going fishing now, it's like, well, we'll get up there at 9, and I'm like, this is kind of crap because when I was a kid, you know, we were up at dark, you know,
Right.
fishing in the rain, and now that he's, I think his age too, you know, he's in his 60s, so that caught up to him. But with hunting, I had to ask. He just kind of waited until I asked.
So you were ready.
Well, you kind of figure out on your own maybe if this is something that you're interested in. We'll see what happens with my kid.
Well, and I think all of us, we like it and love it, but then that first morning when you're walking up that first hill, you're like, holy cow, I wasn't prepared or whatever, you know.
But
there's
that's what they
those
went through.
moments.
That whole thing too, like now there's more because guys like campaigns, specifically him, I think, really made it more more visible. Like you should be training in some way.
Yeah.
But our dads didn't do it.
Yeah.
They just worked for a living with their hands, and or you know, my grandfather certainly never did that. I've never seen him pick up a. The only weight I ever saw him pick up is a fishing weight. You know, so they didn't do it. So
Never
sometimes when I'm
introduced
going
you
up that
to
hill the
finals.
first time, I'm like, God, how did they do this?
Right.
You know, a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they weren't hunting such steep country. Maybe that had something to do with it. But
Yeah, you think you're in shape, and then you
You're
go
not.
up those first.
you
few
can
hills
never
and-
be too in shape, you know, to hunt. But we'll see. I mean, I've taken my daughter fishing a couple times. She's 4. She had this weird time, and I'm like, you know, my wife and I have different opinions on it. You know, so she still had the 8-foot fish are kind of scary, you know, and I didn't have that. So
My wife, or my daughter actually, she used to love to fish with me when she was little. She still will fish with me a little bit, but the hunting thing, she just has no interest.
and that's okay.
She's probably going to come with us this year because we're just going to do weekend hunts, a youth tag for my son. And I think she's going to come just to kind of experience it. She has no desire to harm an animal. She just loves
Good.
all
Hey,
animals.
good for her. I mean, everyone's different. Some people
Yeah.
just don't have that bone in them, you know.
Yeah.
It's weird too because I think if you have I tell the story a lot when I was really young before I hunted with my dad, and it was archery elk. It's kind of a weird thing to take a 10-year-old on, right, or 9-year-old. But I had a real like eye-opening experience, I think, and that's what kind of did it for me. So if you don't have that when you're really young, maybe it doesn't, it's got to excite you in a certain way. I think,
Yeah.
like any other hobby you get interested into, there's something about that. And I had an experience like that, and I have other friends who had that same kind of experience. That kind of always, I haven't hunted a lot in the last couple of years, mostly birds and stuff. But it's still all I think about in a way, or finding a way to go more, or put myself in a position, because now I'm kind of getting towards a position where I'm just going to start hunting less but doing bigger hunts.
Yeah.
Like we talked about going to Alaska. I want to go. I was going to do it next year. We'll see if it shakes out. But I wanted to do like a motorcycle trip to Saskatchewan.
Oh wow.
For a bear hunt and ride it back. Do
Yeah.
something cool, because I'm at I'm almost 40, so I got to start doing.
Gotta start crossing off some
Yeah, I
stuff.
gotta start crossing off some stuff that I've neglected the last few years, and then with work, and the companies, it's kind of like I gotta work a lot to make it happen. But then if you're working a lot, how are you gonna make it happen?
Yeah.
So I'm in a weird position.
Well, the thing for me, growing up doing it, I mean, I knew I had the bug right out of the gates. The first time I went with my dad, I was like, okay, this is something I'm gonna do. This is gonna be part of my life forever. And I think when my wife and I first got together, is explaining that to someone that is not from a hunting family, and understanding that you're going to be gone for chunks of time, and that it's going to be part of your life. I don't care how poor I am, I'm always going to hunt. Like, I will always make it a priority, because it's such a part of my life that like you said, you think about it all the time, like especially with Onyx now, you can get on your computer and just go get lost in canyons and want to go check out stuff online, and
it's terrible.
Yeah.
It is. I saw on Instagram this guy was posting short clips of places in Oregon, like with canyons over by like Whitehorse and those areas, to explore. And I'm like, man, I just want to go over there and check it out. I mean,
Yeah.
I was talking the other day. I got a young kid I'm working with. He's like in his 20s, and for the last couple of years, for a month he goes over to Switzerland and France, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I told him, I'm like, man, how much of your own country have you seen? I haven't even seen the whole state in which I have lived my entire life.
Right.
And so I was just like, Onyx is one of those things where it's like, what's that about?
Yeah.
I see something, and I'm like, what's going on over here?
Mhm.
I want to know, and I want to go just look at it.
And we have so much public land in Oregon. Like, we're so spoiled, we don't realize it.
Yeah.
And there's just so much to go explore.
Yeah, and it's weird because I've lived in the valley, my entire life. So here, it really, if this is your only experience with who owns what land, you would think that there isn't a lot of public land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all timber companies.
It's all timber companies. What looks like a forest that you can go in, you cannot, which is a changing thing. But once you get over the Cascades, you realize, oh my God, there is tons of, and it's kind of better country in a way.
Well, it's way more open. It's a lot easier to see game.
A lot easier to see game, even for hiking around. Like I've been telling some of my friends, just to, you want to get out more, just go hiking.
A little less rain too.
Oh, dude, it's been terrible the last couple of days. I think we got 2 inches in a day last week. So.
Which we'll dive into pigeon hunting in a minute, but since you brought up hiking, I just finished this book, Surviving the Trail. And so this doctor wrote this book, and it's one of these Falcon guides. So, you've seen that format before. But he approached me and said, hey, you want to read my book and review it? And he's going to come on the show and talk to us about it. But he's very detailed in it. And he kind of gives little stories at the beginning about, and I don't want to give too much away, but just people that get themselves in trouble hiking, and then how to prevent some of those tragedies from happening. I mean, his whole goal is to have less people harmed by something he loves to do.
Well, and we talked about it the other day that there was a local guy that perished. We spoke about that. He was from the town. He lived in the town that I'm from, and I kind of knew his sister a little bit. And he was an accomplished hunter.
Solo hunter too.
Solo hunter, very accomplished from the looks of it, and he had an accident in which he fell. And we had talked about that a little bit. And here's a little interesting, he actually talks about compasses. I was trying to explain to my daughter. Again, she's 4, so it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of communication problem there. I have several of them, and I have one of the bronze ones, you can buy for nothing. And I was trying to explain to a 4-year-old what it is, and I was just like, so it works like this, and it became like it became a car like real quick,
Yeah,
after that, and I was just like not frustrated, but I was like, okay, she's just not there yet because she's poor.
And this guy talks about that in the book, how everybody relies on these electronic tools.
Sure.
But batteries can die, equipment can fail, you can drop your cell phone in the river, stuff can happen.
Smash the screen.
Yeah, so like knowing how to use a compass is a skill set that I know when I first hunted, that's what my dad did. He would sit down with us and he'd show us the compass and where we're going and how to pick, some landmark things and, how to help yourself get back to camp. And
yeah, well, and I remember, as a kid, my dad would spread maps out on the kitchen table and the guys from the neighborhood, because everyone hunted on our street,
Yeah.
and that's what they would do. And now
that was their onyx. They were all drilling over the maps. Like,
yeah,
look at this topography.
yeah. And now you can talk to like my nephews who are in their early 20s. They're like, they've never seen a map.
Yeah,
it's just onyx now.
Did you guys use that to start the fire? Or?
Yeah, well, sure. And I have, and you can look at. Kept some that were my dad's, like from the 80s, and they're very different from some even from the mid 2000s. Like the quality. They look like they're drawn with like real thick crayon almost, and there's like all these marks, and I'm trying to, what was this? And he's like, that was so long ago, I don't even remember.
Don't even know what it meant.
I don't even know what this means anymore, So I thought that was interesting.
The world changes so fast, just in our lifetime, it's unreal.
Oh, you got to think like, we went from, just in our lifetime, no cell phones, to cell phones, to
internet. For me, internet came out when I was a kid.
Yeah, me too. And then how cell phones were just for calling people, and now they're supercomputers,
right in our pocket,
with satellite imaging.
Right.
It's just how, it's
shooting
hard to,
video.
Yeah, we're shooting video. It's hard to fathom a little bit, because I talk to my nephews and about stuff and how things have changed, and it just like goes right over their head. This is all they've ever known is Onyx. Really, and
which is an amazing tool. I mean, it is.
I like it.
I struggle with. I'm not as proficient with it as other people. I know guys that I can go out with it, and they're just so good about knowing exactly where they are. And
sure,
I don't always download my maps correctly. And, I just get myself in trouble that way. But
yeah, and I kind of like to look at it in a. I was thinking about this the other day because one of my friends uses my account, and she was just talking to me about it because it's actually changed a lot since it's come out. Like the things you can.
They're always adding to it.
Always adding new stuff, which is cool. But I've been using it. I noticed like I want to go to this area, and then when I get there, I just don't use it, and because I want to see the area with my eyes. Like I don't like spend so much time on it. I know where every tree is almost. Because some guys get like they go through the whole. Like,
but it's not always what you think it's gonna be.
I've been surprised quite a few times where it's like, oh man, this from the topical view, you think, man, this is gonna be good hunting, and you get there and it's like. Just choked hellhole of blackberry bushes, and you're like, oh, this is terrible.
The other thing we've been curious about is with these changes that Oregon made to mule deer specifically, the elk units are staying the same, but mule deer is now going to be totally different units. Is Onyx going to have to come out with like an overlay? We're going to have to turn on a toggle for mule deer habitat only or units only or whatever.
I would think so.
Yeah,
I mean, because guys are going to get into. There's going to be a couple of years where guys are going to be in the wrong spots.
Oh, totally. Because they've hunted there their whole lives, and now all of a sudden they got half the unit.
Yeah, I think a guy in his 60s too.
Oh yeah.
Who doesn't use that technology maybe.
Yeah. They're going to be like, I've been hunting here my whole life. What do you mean it's different? Even though ODFW has done a lot to try to get the word out.
Yeah, and they've done a pretty good job, I think, of that. You always got to be on your toes.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about some of those changes, but I want to dive into the pigeon hunting first. So Chris has been telling me for years about this pigeon hunting that he does.
How long? I was trying to think about it on the drive over here.
At least since I've known you, probably.
10 years?
Yeah, probably 10 years. Maybe you didn't tell me right away, but maybe 6 or 7 years. So he was telling me about pigeon hunting and how they're hard to shoot and all these things. And it's really easy when you hear pigeon hunting to just yeah that, because we're all picturing those slow barn pigeons that are just flying around a barn and just making little cooing noises, or they're living under a bridge or whatever. And that's what I'm picturing in my head. But no, this was band-tailed pigeon hunting, and in Oregon, it's what, a 1 week season? Or
yeah, I think it's 8 days, 2 birds a day. So if you get a year where there are a lot of birds, which we haven't had in a couple of years, which is kind of good and bad. Like for you didn't get a lot of opportunity when you went, but you kill birds, which is good. So if there are a ton of birds flying, I mean, it can be 20 minutes and you're done.
Yeah. Oh
So-
yeah, I
so-
can see that.
So now what I do is, if there are a lot of birds, I'll try to knock one out early, because at least I get one, and then I spend half the time, which we'll talk about, talking to the guys that are there, because
Yeah.
besides you and I, the next closest guy he's like in his mid-60s.
Yeah. Well, and what was crazy about it, so Chris says, "Hey, this is the year. Do you want to go on the pigeon hunt?" And he called, and I'm like, "Yes, absolutely." I was all excited. He told me what to go buy online. I think it was $2 for the
Yeah.
band-tailed pigeon permit. You have to
Pretty
have
cheap.
that. Yeah. And I don't know if you need just a hunting license, and the permit, I believe, is
Yeah, and then you get the hip validation for free.
right with your sports pack.
With
You
your
already
sports
have
pack,
that.
you already got that.
And so anyway, I go buy my stuff and I'm all excited, and I have a 16 gauge, and Chris has a ton of rounds, so he's like, "Yeah, just I got plenty of ammo. Don't worry about that." I think we met at your house because I met
Mhm.
because I didn't know where I was going, and so this is a private property that we were getting to hunt on, and these birds, they come flying in really hot along the river, and then they kind of swoop over you for a second as they're trying to get to these mineral springs. And I did a little research on the birds back then, and I should have refreshed my memory, but they actually see in color better than humans.
Yeah.
And so I did notice right away when we started seeing birds come in, as soon as you lift your gun on, they would start to turn their body and react, being ready to like dodge your shot. And it was like, whoa, I haven't seen a bird that does that. And they're the closest relative to the passenger pigeon, which
Mhm.
used to be everywhere. And then
Millions
they got,
of birds got shot out.
yeah, and people shot the daylights out of them. They were bigger than the bandtails.
I think those went out. I mean, those went extinct. I think in the 20s. Is that right? Something like
something
that.
like that. It was early 1900s, and they're very genetically. These are the most similar bird to the passenger pigeon, which is just kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
It's like you're hunting this historic, and it looks like an oversized dove almost, but then they have that distinctive black. I mean, they're a lot bigger than a dove, but
16 inches about, I think.
yeah, and they're the biggest pigeon.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think they're generally like that. What you just talked about, and everyone thinks they're just some barn bird.
mhm.
Which those, I mean, they're like, they just stand still for you. And I really appreciated the look on your face when because it's like they just appear.
Yeah.
They can dive up to 120 miles an hour, which is hard to fathom. But when you pull a shotgun, so you gotta like, they see in color better than humans, which is really cool little like factoid. But
They only have one chick a year, 1 to 2 chicks a year, and
mostly
that's
one.
and that's
It's
why
like 1.2 or something.
that's why they only let us harvest such a small amount of them, because that population takes a long time to build back up.
So I guess let's start at the beginning.
Mhm.
So, it used to be for a month long, the season, and it was 8 birds a day. So now you can kind of see how we got to 8 days, 2 birds a day, because they didn't know a lot about them for a long time. And I think they need to kind of change the season days, like where we start. I think early September would be better for us.
Because we're hunting kind of towards the end of when they're coming in.
Yeah, and a lot of rain starts. Usually, historically, rain is happening around the 18th every year, and lately it's been coming earlier. So that will really shut it down.
The birds just don't like flying in
They
the
just don't, they coop, or they roost, excuse me, like a lot of birds in the rain, they'll roost. I've been going since I was a kid. My grandfather came over here to Oregon in the 60s. He probably started going in the late 60s, early 70s with Fred. We'll talk about Fred because he's a very interesting guy.
You can't not talk about him.
He's
Yeah.
been going there the longest out of
Yeah.
anyone I've ever met that's still living. And myself and my cousins, we've been going since we were pretty young. And for a long time, I never talked to people about it because it is private.
Mhm.
I don't know of any public areas that you can go and hunt them. And, when we went, there was 6 of us, 7 of us. When I was a kid, it'd be 40 people. It was actually quite popular.
And wasn't there a club or something?
There was a club. I don't remember what it was called. It was a rod and gun club that leased the property that we're on now, and on the other side of the river was also owned by the family. They have since sold it in the last 5 or 6 years. That was where the better hunting was, I think. But yeah, I mean, I've heard there were hundreds of guys out there shooting them.
And
If you could imagine that.
Yeah.
It sounded like a battlefield.
Well, and that was the scary thing for me as we were talking about it is, it is privately owned. There's an older gentleman that's still, allowing everyone to come on. But what happens like with if his kids don't want to keep it going
That's
or they
gonna
want to
happen.
sell the property or, I was telling Chris, like, it'd be awesome to secure that piece of ground somehow. Get a bunch of guys to pool together or
Yeah.
something and acquire, hey, just sell us these 2 acres or 5 acres or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
So it started with Ron, who owns the properties in his mid to late 70s. His dad, he did not hunt. He probably died. I don't know how long it's been since he passed. He lived into his 90s, but when before he died, he had a thing with his sons, like you let the pigeon hunting continue, which I thought that was amazing. And it was 2 boys. I don't remember Ron's brother's name. He since passed. Ron keeps it going. He doesn't hunt. I've never seen him down there shoot a bird ever.
But he was checking in, kind of how everybody was doing.
He always used to do that when I was a kid. Lately, I haven't seen him in the last 5 or 10 years because he's getting up there. And but his son has no interest in letting us continue when he passes, which is kind of like, that's why I wanted to get you out there because it's going to come to an end someday, which is going to be a pretty big loss, I think, for us as hunters. But just to have you experience it for the first time, because I could tell that you thought it was going to be easy in a way. Because when I tell people what we're shooting, they just they have no frame of reference besides a barn pigeon.
Well, what's funny too is I brought a 16 gauge, and these guys were looking at me like, kind of light on the gun.
Yeah.
It's a pigeon,
Yeah.
and they're all hunting with 12 gauges. But these birds are tough, and you definitely need to get headshots because they were just very, very tough birds.
Also, too, you can, so because they see color, you don't need to wear camo, but you need to wear broken up earth tones, I think. And you don't need to be really fast up with your gun. If you notice, they always flare. I've never seen one not do it. So you bring that gun up real quick, they flare, and then that makes your shot almost impossible. And which the speed that they're coming at you at makes it tough too.
Yeah, and most head-on shots are mostly coming right towards you and then flying over you real fast. The other thing, I've hunted pheasants quite a bit in South Dakota. That was the other thing I did this fall. I went on that South Dakota pheasant trip, and I got to tell you, pheasants are a lot easier to shoot than these pigeons.
They're slow, man.
Yeah, I mean they're slow and they're big, and if you're on the edge and you're trying to take long shots from escaping birds that got by all the other guns, those can be more challenging shots. But compared to these pigeons, when I was shooting the pheasants, I was like, oh, this is nothing.
Easy.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
So these pigeons, for me, and I've done a lot of bird hunting, the most challenging bird I've ever hunted.
Yeah, I tell people that, and they just get this look on their face, like there ain't no possible way that is the truth.
Yeah. Well, we went 2 days, and the first day I didn't hit a bird. And then the second day I got one right out of the gates, and I was like, finally on board.
Happy.
Yeah, I was so happy too.
Finally, because you think that you hit them, and I think something happens when you're actually shooting way behind them because you're not used to the speed, and those loose feathers at the bottom of their body will come out just by the speed in which your lead is going by. You don't actually hit them when that happens. It's just so close.
You're not getting any body.
You're not getting any body. That
Just
velocity.
grazing some feathers.
Yeah, and so you think, oh, I hit that bird, and it goes up in a tree. Well, it doesn't ever. You never did. So you always gotta, like what the old guys, you gotta stone them. I mean, you gotta kill them dead right away. And even sometimes if you do hit them pretty good, they'll get up into a tree and that's it.
Well, we had a couple where we shoot them in the head, and they'd still twirl their way down. It was
well, they'll take off too. You think you got one good, and they hit the ground, and then they're up on their feet again.
Yeah.
And part of the problem too is I don't have a dog anymore. All the guys are so old, they don't have dogs anymore. So that's a little bit of it. There's a couple guys that will come a couple days a year. I didn't see one out there this year that have dogs. That's a tremendous help. I mean, because it's blackberry. Oh man, the blackberries are terrible down there. And so part of this is pigeon hunting. If you notice, it's the main thing we're there to do is shoot pigeons. Then the other part is looking at shotguns.
Oh,
have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Because some of the older guys, they've been collecting guns for so long.
I mean, that gun that Fred showed us, I don't know how valuable that thing was.
Very valuable.
But I'm thinking a $20,000 gun or a $12,000 gun.
It's weird too, because there's guys down there, they haven't been lately, but and you don't need a gun that's expensive. You can literally go buy the cheapest Mossberg and kill birds. There's guys who I see do it all the time. That has nothing to do with it. But there will be guys down there with like Parazzis and Krieghoffs and stuff that are in that 10, 12, $15,000, which is cool for me to look at because I have no interest in owning that.
But you get to touch it.
You get to touch it, yeah. You get to shoot one and kill a bird with it if you're lucky. So that's cool. And then, so part of the shotgun thing too is like you always get a history lesson. So they made so many of these.
Yeah, and you
cool.
only want the ones made here.
You want these ones, and that's kind of cool. And then the underlying thing is that I've been doing for the last 5 or 6 years is trying to. I would, when my grandfather was alive, I would ask him stories, like just hey, you know, when you did this, blah blah blah. He hunted all over North America, and I would secretly record him with my phone. Yeah, so I got a couple recordings. I want to get them cleaned up, mostly about them hunting birds on reservations in the Midwest and stuff, and because that's where he's from Iowa. So I would secretly record him, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And then since he's passed, the only other guy is Fred. He's 81.
I thought he was 71.
No, he's 81 years old.
So that's what it was. So he's been hunting it for 71 years because he's been hunting it since he was 10.
He was in Vietnam.
Yeah, he missed 4. He said the only 4 pigeon seasons he missed was when he was in the military.
Yeah, he was in the Navy in Vietnam. Did part of the shooting team.
So isn't that crazy? Like, you know, he's been going there for 71 years with that 4-year.
It's a tremendous amount
miss,
of time,
you know?
like 67 years.
Yeah.
He would quit his job to go do it when I was
like,
and that's his thing. He goes out. It does not matter if it's pouring down rain. He goes every day.
And this guy, when I first get there, the first day, he's like looking me over, looking me up and down, thinks I'm like an undercover police officer.
Just the strangest thing. Well, because back in the day, guys would be drinking. You gotta think of it. He's been doing it since he's a kid.
And the season is, I mean, they're protecting these birds, so it is a fair paranoia of like, you know, you can only harvest 2 birds, and if like a guy's out there that's, you know, even in, you know, let's say one of those feather incidents, if a game warden's out there, they might say, oh, well, that counts.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
and I don't know what the legalities are on that, but I think, I don't know.
I always went with it like.
To me, if a bird's not on the ground, it doesn't count, is how I've always thought. But
sure, and I've never talked to anyone about that.
No,
it's so a little amount of birds being killed. So they sell less than 1,000 permits a year, and they think 10% of the people that buy the permit actually go. So what is it, 90, 70 people? So we're not talking about a lot of birds here, but they are naturally suspicious of outsiders. I've only brought 2 people there, you and my childhood friend, which they all, he doesn't go because he's busy, but they ask about him every year. But the first day, I'm getting like interrogated. Yeah. Who the hell's this guy?
Yeah.
And which is funny because to me I'm like, it's Sam, you know. Yeah. And but the second day they're like, hey, is your buddy here?
Yeah.
Because I think we missed a day in between. And I said, no, he'll be here tomorrow. And they're like, my uncle asks about you. Adam, when I ran into him, asked about you. Fred asked. And so it's once you kind of break that through that little wall of suspicion, and it's a weird thing to be suspicious of because no one's doing anything they're not supposed to do. So,
right.
But I don't know. Maybe it's just natural, I think.
I mean, I think so. Whenever someone's coming into your hunting spot that you don't know, that's a natural like defense mechanism, regardless of whether you think they're like gonna arrest you or something. It's more just like, hey, I don't want this guy.
Well, it's not just that. It's like there are people with guns.
Yeah.
And how you hunt it is like you're standing under a tree line or sitting. If you're old, you sit under a tree line, and the birds are coming to you. And you don't know how responsible someone is with a firearm. No one has ever been injured there that I've ever heard, which is quite amazing.
Oh, they're very proficient shooters, the guys that were there. And I would say, for me, I felt really honored and privileged to be even able to go and be in their spot. And the other thing I really respected about how you do it, you go off to the edge, like you let those guys have the best spots.
Yeah.
Because once we sat by your uncle and Fred, and I saw how many more birds were flying over them, I'm like, holy cow, no wonder they're getting birds and we're not. But half the time they're like, Mark, and then it flies over, they haven't even pulled the trigger because they're talking about a gun or whatever.
They're always BSing about something, and that's part of it too. It's like I'm when I was younger, I was a lot more serious about it. Now it's just a way for me, you know. So my grandfather's one who took us there, us and my uncles, and you know he's passed a couple years ago, so that's part of the reason why we go. You know, it was a thing that I did with him.
Yeah.
And Fred and him were friends for 50 years, like real good friends. So I feel like I got to go and check out Fred.
Yeah.
See how he's doing. Also, too, the guy's 81. He's better at shooting than I am.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's kind of like you watch him, you're like, man. But also, too, you got to think he has 3 times as much time behind a gun as we do.
Yeah.
And and also, too, he's a shell of what he was when I was a kid.
Well, he had some stories that he was telling us that were just the
Yeah.
kind of stories that.
Yeah, we probably won't talk about it on the podcast.
Well, but the type of stories though that you can't like replicate. But like today's man is not that man.
No.
You know what I mean? They can't even relate to the stuff that he was telling us.
No, and he was very like us too. I think in a way, he's from the Willamina area. I think he was born in Portland, if I remember right. But he came down and lived in Grand Ron with his grandparents, and all they did was hunt and fish.
Mhm.
That's how they ate. And besides the pigeon hunting, he was really into bears. That was like and so him and I kind of have that thing where we talk about bear hunting a lot because I really like hunting bears. But yeah, he can't. I mean, there's a lot of going in on horseback, Eastern Oregon, those kinds of things that people don't really do much anymore. But also too, he appreciates it in a way. So like when my grandfather's alive, I had a picture of myself. We took a picture of my grandfather, myself, my uncle, and a cousin.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't take one this year, but
Mm.
it's framed up, and we had a couple of them made for us. And Fred said so. He's like, "What? Why am I in the picture? I'm the one who brought you Hayden's here in the first place." And I was
Yeah.
like, I thought about that, and this last year would have been nice because we had some really nice days. So I'm hoping he makes it another year, so I can get a picture of us with him, and so I can put that on my wall. Because he does have a point. Like we wouldn't be doing it without him.
Yeah.
And they met, like my grandfather and him met doing fabrication work back in the day.
Well, and his grandson came with him.
His grandson,
and he
yeah.
seemed like he loved it too. Just
Well, his son came. He lost his son some years back. He died pretty young, which is a tragedy for us because I've known him my whole life. And his son was a really good, very good at shooting too. And so his grandson goes, and kind of like the same reason why I went, But it's a tremendous amount of fun. I like introducing someone to it because
it's such a unique thing.
It's very
just
unique.
Not something you're gonna.
It's very
to
similar
replicate.
to hunting waterfowl in a way because you're waiting for the birds to come to you, but there are no decoys, which I don't know why. In Europe for pigeons they use decoys. I don't know why we've never done that. I don't think it's ever crossed their mind.
Put it out in the middle of the field or something and see
Sure.
if you could.
Why not?
Yeah.
See, does that help? Because they're trying to get to that mineral spring in the river behind us.
And their eyesight's so good, they'd see them.
I would.
You got decoys out there, so.
Yeah, and yeah, it's weird too because it's like after you're like, man, maybe the 16 gauge isn't enough.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna take my dad's 12 gauge next year if I get to go. And
Yeah.
The other thing that was cool about the birds is it's a reddish meat. So like I got to take some home and cook them up, and breast them out. Really tasty. I'll post a picture of it. Medium rare and just like.
I sold
really
them
tasty.
soy sauce, make them with some rice or something, cream of mushroom soup type dish, or just eat them like that. My daughter's been eating them for a couple of years. I try to tell people it is kind of gamey.
Yeah, it's got a livery quality to it.
I like that,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe because I've been eating it for so long. But they eat a lot of elderberries.
Mm-hmm. Their crops were full of berries and nuts and seeds and.
Yeah, so they're eating some kind of very good stuff. Also, too, they are a good-looking bird. Did you think that
Yes.
after you killed one, you look at it, you're like, that's actually a pretty bird because at the back of their neck they have the ring, and then up above that it's like that kind of emeraldy green. I don't know how to explain that. Emeraldy green.
Purple. There's some purple hues in there.
Yeah, and these birds are a little different.
Yeah.
And then you get down to the tail where they're like
some of them are almost pink and brown.
Yeah, like a slate gray,
Mhm.
and then that light band on the tail. So they are a good looking bird. I think we took some pictures of them.
Yeah,
I have
we
some
did.
pictures up on my Instagram from a couple years ago. And they're pretty sharp looking. I like them a lot.
Yeah, it was just such a unique thing. I just felt I'm very grateful. So
Well,
thank you for taking me.
Yeah, and I've been trying to get more people to go because, if we don't continue that, it will die out. And I've been looking for like 2 years to find some public land. I haven't had much luck with that. But I did talk to a guy who said that they are hunting them down east of Eugene.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's like on one of the Middle Fork of land or
Maybe in Marcola area or something, because I heard of a place like outside of Sweet Home where guys were doing the bandtail pigeon thing, and it was again private, and it was again mineral springs.
It's always mineral
they
springs.
found the mineral springs,
And I
the
heard
birds come in.
it was kind of a like, okay, so the last couple years not been very good. There are some years where you go down at, like not first thing in the morning, but like 11, and it's hundreds of birds. It's like you don't know which one to shoot. You know, you get kind of like sidetracked in
Well,
that.
in that mineral spring, they were saying it's to make the baby milk or something.
Yeah. So hunters and fishermen are liars sometimes, and it's for the mother's milk. And I was, as a kid, you just believe what anyone tells you.
But honestly, I think there might be some truth to it. Like I remember researching it just because I was like, do these really have this? Do they really fly this fast? Do they really? And all of it was true.
Those things are
like
true.
When I googled it up, I think that one actually couldn't be true.
I think it's for eggshell development.
That makes more sense.
I think that scientifically makes more sense. I'm not a scientist, but I was always told that, and I told people that as an adult, and they look at you like you're an idiot. But it's fun. It's just like I'm just repeating the same line they told me.
I'm gonna have to look it up again because I do think there is a theory that the minerals do make the milk more nutritious. Because if you think about it, if you have one chick to take care of, and I don't know how many times they breed in a year. I don't remember.
I've heard that they can. Okay, so this bird flies from Canada to Mexico and back. They're getting shot basically in Mexico all the way up. And so I would think that if, like almost like coyotes in a way, if they get shot out, they start breeding again. I wonder if it's something like that. Because they say they can have up to 2 chicks a year. So, and they only have one at a time. So I would think that twice a year they're getting it done.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which is wild.
It's just
different because chicks have to survive all the predators and all that stuff. You know, it's
in California they did a study. It was like 17.8 rounds per bird killed. I'm like 3 because there's not a lot of opportunity.
Right,
know?
And you're pretty good. I mean,
I just got a lot of practice.
Yeah, you were definitely a much better shooter than I was. You were getting the job done.
Just faster. Bit. Well, also too, I knew what I was getting into. And I need to lead them a lot more than what you think.
Well, yeah, and I was also a little bit paranoid. I was a little bit like, boy, we better take advantage of birds because we had birds flying over while we were all just talking. And I was like, why aren't we shooting at these birds? Yeah. But then when you think about it, you only get 2. It's like, you got time.
I used to just knock them out real quick, and then you're like, well, I drove an hour.
And then you hang out.
Hang out with the old guys. And then if there are no dogs, you turn into the bird dog.
Yeah.
You know, my grandfather would be like, you're the best bird dog I ever had, Christopher. And, you know,
pat you on the head.
Yeah, just give us crap. And, you know, back in the day, we went down to the river, which is quite cool, right? Yeah. It's so back in the day, we would come in on the other property and get down, basically go down on the other side of the river. So, you know, if you knock out your 2 birds real quick, you're chasing birds down in the river, which can be, a lot of times it's low because we're just coming out of summer. You know, so there's a lot of that. Sometimes there's doves that come through, you know, which is cool. I try to knock one down if I can. But it's not, for me now, it's not so much about killing birds. It's more about hanging out with the old timers. And I don't know what it's, you know, hopefully I get to live into my 80s, but, you know, a guy like Fred, he doesn't have a lot of friends around anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and it's weird too because sometimes he calls me by my dad's name because I look like him, and I think he forgets. Yeah. Or he'll say Cliff, which is my grandfather, who's my dad. So he gets a little confused and stuff. But I like to, you know, check in on him.
But also that history is cool, I mean, that you have with him. And like, he had pigeon scroll work on one of his shotguns.
Oh,
you know, he's showing us that. And I mean, this guy lives for the pigeon thing, and I get it. Like, I didn't get it until I experienced it. And then I was like, oh, I get why guys love this.
Yeah, and it used to be, you know, you gotta think, he has seen it at its height, and now there was 6 of us.
Yeah.
And he was telling me guys used to come from Russia to kill one, which is weird. I look, I just take him at his word for it. But my grandfather had some mounted in his house, which is like a weird thing, you know, because you're like elk, antelope, blacktail, whitetail, 2 pigeons on a stick, you know. And those were, and then he had like a pheasant. Yeah. And that was it.
With a super long tail or something.
It was really, it was a really long one. I think it got destroyed like in a flood or something, but as a kid he had it. And, I have his whitetail from the 60s in Iowa. It's kind of cool. But so, I mean, a lot of it's just spending time with the old timers, getting stories out about it, you know, and for me, that's, you know, this kind of stage of my life, that's like what's the most important to me, you know.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, you and I talked about this, so I'm going to kind of transition us over to what I call bad decisions, which is new guns,
Sure.
and which there aren't. That's just a joke because there is no bad decision when you buy a gun. But so Chris and I've never been a gun nut. You're more of a gun nut than me for sure, and you really know your ballistics and you know your different calibers. But as of late, I've just kind of gotten the bug, and I don't know necessarily why. But I started doing gun research on different things, and I started thinking, well, I need to get some guns for my future grandchildren and for my son, and if my daughter wants one.
My daughter has a tremendous amount of firearms.
Yeah. So I just started like getting the bug and going to gun shows, and you know, the gun shows, it's so overwhelming because you see all this wood and it's all beautiful to me. I really like wood guns.
Yeah.
And you kind of can't. But then if you decide to take one home that speaks to you, like you and I said, it's like you got to hold it up and be like, this is a gun I want to own. You know. But you get it home and you really start admiring the beauty when it's not in the sea of all the other guns.
Yeah.
But the reason I've kind of transitioned over to that is because Fred has a huge gun collection, but he was talking to us on the river or on the, you know, in the field that he's going to start selling off some of those guns. And you and I talked about this. There's a lot of older generation where their kids aren't into hunting or their kids aren't around. They don't want the guns. The kids don't really know the value. So these older guys are going, man, if I die, these kids are just going to pawn these guns for next to nothing. So, you know, I have another customer that he's selling a big chunk of his gun collection. He's still keeping, you know, some family guns to hand down. But I purchased a 243 at a gun show fairly recently. And it's kind of a cool, I brought some guns to show Chris of my latest acquisitions. They're over on the table. But
I like them all.
Yeah, but so this 243 that I picked up, it's a competitor to Seiko is what the guy told me. And this guy owned a pawn shop in Staten. Nice guy. So this gun is a little short 243. I have an affinity for 243s because it's what my dad always hunted with. So I think it's the perfect deer cartridge, especially for blacktail over here on the West Coast. And I love loop-holed scopes. So I picked this up with an old loop-hold on it. It's, you know, I pick up sight picture right away when I hold the gun up. It's short. It was a good price, but it was right at the end of the show. So I had to go to this guy's pawn shop to pick it up. Well, while I'm there, there's an old guy in a Tesla truck bringing in like 20 guns to this pawn shop. And I'm going, and there were some sweet 16s and some different stuff. And I'm just going, man, I really want to go see, you know, how much he's going to get out of those. And obviously, you can't go to a guy's pawn shop and buy guns out from under. That would be frowned upon.
Yeah, you'd never be able to do that.
But at the same time, I'm going, man, it's crazy to think that an old guy is just bringing in his guns and being done with them.
Yeah, it's weird. And, you know, going back to Fred, and like, he has a really cool gun collection because a lot of old Winchester side-by-sides, which have not been made, I think, since the 50s. And they're highly valuable, and I would just love to have. Like, he shot one this year. Like, so he was shooting could be a $20,000 shotgun, which is wild to me to bring that outside. You know, in that setting. And it turned out when my grandfather passed, I had inherited a couple firearms, and then I had bought some from my uncle. And I bought a Model 12, which you have one, in 16 gauge, which is like 100 years old. I think mine's from the 50s, and mine's in 20 gauge. I bought a.
So I just brought that in. So
it's cool.
My father-in-law brought that for. He passed it on to my son, and we just picked it up like a couple weekends ago. But it's a Model 12 Winchester pump action. He told me, he goes, that gun's almost 100 years old, and I'm like, are you sure? Like, in my mind, I'm like going, did they do pumps that long ago?
Oh, they did 1897.
Yeah, so then I looked it up on serial number, and sure enough, it was manufactured in 1929. And I was like, holy cow. It's amazing that technology was going back then. You know?
Oh, I mean, they had it during the Wild West, almost like towards the end of that time. So I have one in 20 gauge. Mine's like a lot nicer than that.
Yeah. In better shape, probably.
A lot better shape than that, but I like the way that looks because you don't need to worry about it. And then I bought a Browning Auto 5 hand engraved Magnum 20, which is a little bit more rare gun. It needs to be gone through again because it's semi-auto from the 40s. It's like the innards are in terrible shape. But one of the other firearms I bought was a Ruger Model 77 and 25-06, and that was Fred's dad's rifle. He told me.
Yeah, that's
He said, what'd you buy? And I told him, he goes, that was my dad's.
Yeah, you guys were talking about maybe a trade.
And I said, hey, I just told him, I go, do you want it back? Because I go, I'll give it to you, but when you die, it has to come to me, or we can trade. And he just said, no, I have another one. And I was a little surprised by that, but he had that made for his dad.
Yeah, that's
which
cool.
I thought that was really cool.
Well,
and then
that's
now
the
I
thing.
have it, you know.
Well, that's the thing with that 16 gauge from my father-in-law. So for my son, so my father-in-law, he came on the podcast one time, but that's the gun he was carrying pheasant hunting when he got shot. You know, so when he got shot by another hunter. But you know, so there's some history with that gun, and I mean, I haven't shot it yet. He told me to go ahead and make sure I shoot it first before I let my son shoot it, and make sure everything's
Probably
working.
put a new butt pad on it.
Yeah, get a little
for
more
for your son, because
Yeah.
that's. I know it looks like rubber, probably hard to steal.
Yeah,
now.
it's been worn down.
It's been worn down.
So that same gun show, I picked up a little pistol. I picked up that single shot 20 gauge shotgun.
Dude, can I talk about that?
Yes,
Because,
please talk about that. Because you'll know
okay,
you can pick it up.
usually single shot shotguns are in.
And I guess it has like a clip, so maybe it's more than a single shot, but it's a what is it? A bolt action.
It's
shotgun.
a bolt action. It's a Mossberg, so
It's
it's
$50.
$50.
And so I was like, I've never seen a gun at a gun show for $50. So I was just like, is this
I
price
have,
right?
but not one I would buy.
Right.
Because usually single shot shotguns are incredibly frowned upon here for bird hunting. No one uses them. You kind of get looked at a little funny, and they're always in terrible condition. When you said that this was it, I was generally surprised on how good the condition of it is. It has what's called a poly choke, which now everyone's screw-in chokes. So poly chokes were one that was just fitted onto the end of the barrel, and you could turn it by hand to go from full modified to cylinder. And they have different versions of it. But I was like surprised on the condition of this thing. It does have a clip. I honestly think you should be using this for hunting deer. That's kind of like what I think I see in this.
You don't think a grouse killer?
Oh no, it will kill a grouse for sure.
Just
But
a 20 gauge.
the stock on it's beautiful. I was very surprised.
I thought
They're usually trash, man. I'm telling you, like you could use it for a boat paddle. That's like
Right.
the condition that you see them in. Not as nice as this, but look at little finger grooves. Right
Yeah, the
here.
finger grooves are kind of cool.
I
I
thought
just
those
thought
were
it was kind of
cool.
cool. I mean, when I told you about it, you're like, oh, those are cheap because no one wants them. Like literally,
Why
like,
I would have bought this. And I was at that same gun show the day before.
Yeah.
I was looking at. We've talked about this quite a bit because you like the wood and steel like me. I was looking at On Shoots, which is they make mostly 22s. They make a lot of the Olympic. Right?
oh yeah, some beautiful ones there.
We'll do part of our little transition into the grouse hunting because you did something that I did also, which after you went pigeon hunting for 2 days, you're like, I need to get another shotgun. I need something for this.
Right.
Because we've talked about a bunch, like when we start a new hobby, we have a million hobbies that we do like half-ass at, right? But I need the gear for it. So you did it with the shotgun, and we went did the grouse hunting. So that next day, I was at the gun show, like I need a 22.
Yeah.
And I found that On Shoots. I didn't pull the trigger on it, but there was another guy looking at it too, and I said, you should pick this up. And he said, I actually have one. It was my dad's. And I go, these are nice guns. He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't like the modern guns too much. It was basically the slightly more expensive than a Ruger 1022, which the prices on those have just gone up so much.
Yeah, and the modern guns, my cousin Chris calls them creep guns.
Sure.
So because, and I mean, it's just kind of a joke. He's like, oh, Sandbar is creep gun. But I mean, there is something about holding a wooden gun versus holding a gun made out of plastic or polymer
I've
or
said it a
rubber.
bunch. They just don't have any soul to them, right? They're
Yeah.
just like, I don't know. And
I like the idea of durability. You don't have to baby it. You don't have to worry about scratching it or dinging it because it's a hunk of plastic. Yeah, and it's, I mean, you probably melt it in the fire.
Yeah.
Which I guess wood burns pretty good too. But
pretty bad.
but it's one of those things where it's just like the beauty of the wooden gun. You just can't replicate it for me.
And no two pieces of wood are the same.
Yeah, and even like the ballistics. So I also picked up a 300 Weatherby, and this was my cousin's hunt with these guns. I wasn't sure about it. I wasn't sure if it was something I wanted to invest in, but this was a custom gun that went to the Weatherby custom shop. It's got scroll work on the bottom. You know, just beautiful gun. It's, you know, it's been hunted with. It's got some dings and some bumps along the way. Nothing terrible, but I was just like, okay, there's a reason why my cousins love these so much. And like once you hold a Weatherby and you work the action and you look, like they're just built for quality.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just a different type of firearm. And you know, you look at the ballistics on the 300 Weatherby. At 500 yards, it drops 15 inches. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
a
flat shooting gun.
it's very flat shooting, and now like I've passed in the past. I have passed on a lot of 300 Weatherbees that,
Mhm.
looking back, I was like, man, and made by different manufacturers because Remington picked them up in their 700 Classic line, and like Winchester's, man, I mean, a bunch of people have made them. I always passed on them because I thought, man, they kick too much. I was shooting a 300 Win Mag back then,
Yeah.
which is not, I mean, slightly more pressure.
That was my thing too. I was like, ballistically, I don't need a cannon. I don't need a
But talk
And-
about a killer though. This thing's a
well,
laser beam.
and a box of ammo is $100.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
sure.
they're an expensive gun to shoot, but where I started thinking, so I've been hunting with the 6.5 PRC, and I like it ballistically. I really liked it on paper, and I shoot it well at the range, and it's harvested now 3 animals, and all of them have died with 1 bullet. But this year, my shooting woes continued a little bit. I could have. So where I messed up is I started that, and I talk about it. I did a little YouTube. I did a couple little YouTubes recently. I'm dabbling in that space, and I talked about my woes with this gun. And so my son shot it last year, and he complained about how loud it was. And my dad calls it thunderstick because it was really loud with the muzzle brake on it. And it had this kind of gray rubberized stock that Bergara comes stock with, no cheek blade. Like this, the feel of the stock, and that was one of the reasons I was attracted to the gun. But it would jam after the first round. And so my son was having trouble loading it, so I swapped it to this MDT stock, which I just got a Christmas card from MDT, which I thought was kind of cool. Yeah, they sign it, everybody at the company, which is kind of a neat thing. And I like their stock. So I swapped it over to their stock, but it had a more plastic polymer feel than the rubber. But it would hold a magazine. So now I've got a 10 round and a 3 round magazine for it, which I thought was a good change. But I also added a suppressor.
Oh, really?
Which added 4 to 5 inches to the end of the gun.
Sure.
So now I've got this long gun that is no longer really balanced that well. Well, my buck this year was in his bed at 25 yards. And I'm trying to get on him on a steep angle at a canyon with shooting sticks with this heavy gun. I wasn't sure I wanted to shoot him yet because wasn't sure if I wanted to hold on or not. Well, anyway, I took long enough. I decided to take one more step, and he bolts. So then he's at like 400 on a run, and that's when I decided to pull the trigger. And he would not stop. We were yelling and screaming and trying to get him to stop. I missed the first round, hit him with the second round, and then this is where I was really dumb because the deer went another probably 100 yards. I wasn't thinking about that, and I fired the remaining 4 rounds within 15 seconds and did not connect once.
Wow.
So the deer went down.
That's terrible.
It was terrible. It was
Yeah.
horrible shooting.
Yeah.
It was not something I'm proud of. But
Sure.
the deer went down, but he was not dying quickly, and I didn't want him to suffer.
Sure.
And so I walked back to the truck to get more ammo. By the time I got back, he had expired. But I left my cousin with him to watch him.
Yeah.
But it was not. I wasn't a proud moment, and that was just bad shooting. I can't really blame the gun for that.
Yeah.
But the modifications to the gun are what made that a more difficult situation. If I would have had a little 243, I could have shot that deer in his bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the suppressor. It's going to become a lot easier to buy suppressors, so that's going to change how these guns shoot a little bit. I'm so like apprehensive to shoot a running animal.
Oh yeah.
I'm terrible at it. I've shot one my whole life, and I connect. It was a very short shot on a blacktail going uphill in a draw that a creek runs through in the valley, and I actually only shot it because I was hunting with my friend and his 2 boys. And I said, shoot him. I'm like, he's at like 50 yards. I go, just shoot him. And he shot, and he missed, and he started running uphill. And that's when I shot him. And it killed him like right away, which I was very surprised because I lost him right behind a tree. And I'm like, I think here. And that's when I pulled the trigger, and it connected.
Yeah.
And he rolled down into the creek. But that's the only running deer I've ever shot. And it was with a really short rifle, too, that TK I have. So it's like a 22-inch barrel, real tiny for hunting in the West.
We've always gotten him to stop. We give a little hoot or a little scream. This deer did
That was
not.
taken off.
Yeah, he just didn't want to stop. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I'll fire the first round and maybe that'll stop him.
Sure.
It was what I was thinking, and it did slow him enough for me to be able to connect him the second one. But he was still like moving, which wasn't an ideal shot.
400 yards, man.
Yeah.
That's a stretch.
Yeah, it wasn't smart, honestly. Like if I had to do it over, I wouldn't have done it.
You just would never pull the trigger. Huh?
No, but I mean, I was happy to harvest the animal, and he did die. It wasn't my best shooting moment.
Hindsight, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, but that's what it made me rethink that whole gun. I'm like, okay, I'm taking the suppressor off. I'm gonna just put a thread cap and take the muzzle brake off, because then because 6.5 PRC is not gonna kick that bad anyway.
No.
And then I don't have that noise factor going. I am gonna stick with the stock the MDT stock, and so we're planning a Snake River elk hunt for 2026, and I have 16 elk points, which puts me in no man's land.
Yeah.
So it's like Snake River or Ochiko's is 9 points, and then you're in no man's land until the big bull tags, the Winnahaw and the Mount Emily.
Which are in the 20s.
24 now.
And Point Creek, by the time you get there, it's in the 30s.
That's where I got with it. It's like, okay, I'm 46 now. If let's say Point Creek even just goes to 26 points.
Yeah.
So 10 years from now, I'm 56, trying to hunt Winnahaw and Mount Emily. My brother and I were doing it together, so I'm like, hey, you just keep going for that, and I'll go with you. But I think I'm gonna burn my points, and just because I want to start elk hunting again. And we're looking into the Snake River trip, which I'm excited about. We're talking about like a bottom up approach and having like a jet boat guy take us in, set up camp, kind of hunt our way up, and then if we get an animal, you're bringing it down the mountain, kind of thing. So
yeah, I think you got to. I had a friend that was in maybe not a similar situation. He drew a antelope tag with 19, but he only bought points until he put in for the 19th one. And I told him, I'm like, man, it's 12, probably 13 now. Back then it was 12. And I said, you should have just been putting in for the actual tag at 12.
Yeah.
And maybe got one at 12,
right?
15, and then you'd already have 4. You'd be on
the next.
That's
one. Where I messed up too.
Yeah.
Like we were going to do Ochiko elk, and we drew the tag. My wife had a heart transplant. We couldn't go.
Poor timing.
Yeah, I called ODFW and said, hey, they gave me my points back.
They're really good about that. That's my one thing I will never complain about ODFW. I don't like the whole it's like fish and wildlife thing. I think it needs to be fish and game, but they are really, they're really good about like just working with you. I gave a muzzleloader elk tag back.
Yeah.
I said, hey, I just cannot go.
Yeah, and if you have a reasonable reason, they will give you your points back. Like my dad had a stroke, and we were supposed to go on a spring bear hunt with my son, and we obviously weren't going to go, and they gave him his points back too, which was cool.
That's nice.
It's because he's a kid, and he was, he was all excited, and we didn't go.
Yeah.
So, speaking of ODFW, there's some changes coming that, people are never happy about any change, but especially when we're talking pocketbook. So the sports pack, which covers your hunting, fishing, all your tags, your predator tags, has been $196.50 for quite a while now. Like it was in the 180 price range for a while, and then it went up to this $196.50. They kept it slightly under $200. And so that's what most of us buy, because when you do the math on it, you add one little extra thing besides deer and elk, and it's going to pay for itself. And so ODFW has proposed some changes. I mean, they're going to happen. So in 2026, the sports pack is going to go up from $196.50 to $253, which is a 28% increase.
Huge.
Which is pretty dramatic in a time where, the economy is such that people are stretched thin. And you add another, $60 roughly to something that people have been buying for a long time. And the way I looked at it, here's what I don't like about it. And I'm sure that they did a lot of analytics before they just did this, because they're trying to get their budgets in order and whatnot. But what I don't like about it is when you buy a sports pack, it automatically gives you a cougar tag and a bear tag. And a lot of us, you're a bear hunter, but most hunters are deer and elk hunters. Sports pack forced us to have those predator tags in our pockets. Now, I've never killed a predator, but if I saw one, I would shoot it, know? And we have a predator problem in this state. ODFW knows it. Everyone knows it.
We just talked about it, I think, a while ago.
Yeah, we talked about the cougars and some of these things that might be coming down the pike. And it's the number one issue for mule deer, in my opinion, is cougar predation. And then bears are probably right behind that.
Sure.
And so what I love about the sports pack is at least it has those tags out in the field. Now, next year, because I am planning the Snake River hunt, and we're going to do probably a spring bear hunt over there just to check out the country, I'm going to buy a sports pack, because if you do the math, it makes sense. But let's just say the following year, I'm a guy, I love fishing, but I don't have to fish. I'm more of a hunter. I've just transitioned that direction. And if I want to fish, I can fish in a private lake without having to have a license. And so anyway, next year, 2027, after 2026, so let's fast forward to 2027. Let's say I decide I'm not going to fish. I could just go buy my hunting license, my deer tag, because I'm not really an elk hunter. And that would be $126.
Which is so much money.
But compared to, so I'm saving 70 from the 196 I was paying to ODFW. So they're losing $70 out of the budget from a guy like me who's cheap and is going, okay, I don't need to have a fishing license this year. I don't need an elk tag. I don't necessarily hunt that stuff, but I hunt it when I have a sports pack, and I think that's where they're going to miss the boat a little bit. We'll see how it actually plays out. But hunting licenses went from $34.50 to $39. That was a 13% increase. Fishing from 44 to 50. That was a 13% increase. So the biggest increase on a single item, actually the single item was the salmon steelhead tag. Went from $46 to $69.
I know.
That's a 50% increase.
I saw that and I was like, God.
So that was the number one item, and then the number two item was the sports pack at 28%. And so the other thing that's frustrating about this is it's a step up change. So every 2 years there's going to be another bump. So 2028 sports pack's going up another almost 12%.
So here's the question though: does that ever stop, or is that forever?
Well, they only put it, they only charted this out till 2030. So in 2028, that sports pack's going from 253 to 283, and then in 2030, it's going to $311.
That's crazy.
Another 9% or 10%. So the total increase over that time period for the sports pack is 58%.
That's
over the next 4 years. And if you look at the salmon tag, it's going all the way up to $77 in 2030, and that's a 67% increase.
I've bought one every single year since I was 18. I bought a salmon tag.
And now our tag is salmon, steelhead, halibut. It's got everything on one tag.
But it's what is it? It's 10 native slots.
Right. Yep.
So it's
you have 10 fish, and you can buy a hatchery tag.
You can buy as many hatchery tags as you want. I've gone through quite a few, but we're talking about the price increase. So this synopsis I have from 1968 hunter's license, the resident hunter's license was $4, and in 1969 it went up to $5. So they were talking about the same thing. And I think a lot of the problem too is like hunting and fishing has not gotten better here.
Right. If anything, it's gotten worse.
It's gotten worse. The mule deer population is definitely struggling. I don't do a lot of that, so it doesn't affect me, but it affects everyone else I know. And I think the state's unwillingness to recognize, I guess now maybe it's not there are people who are in the state government that recognize that the predators are a problem.
Yeah,
right. And which we've talked about. Nash, I think, is his name.
Yeah, Senator
Nash has been pushing that forward, which we greatly appreciate. But there are a lot of other people who have an unwillingness, I think, to accept that there's a problem and that we need to find a solution. And I just really think the solution is we need to just bring hunting predators back with dogs.
Yeah.
Even for a short while to knock that population back, because I think humans are incredibly impatient. We want now, like this is what we want, and so that creates a problem in its own. But until that the population of predators is knocked back, especially cougars, which we've talked about, I mean they hammer the deer populations.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. It seems like it's
number one thing, hands down.
When you see the actual numbers on how often that they're killing something, it seems like it's made up.
Oh, it is.
It seems like, there's no way that they could be possibly killing that much, but it's true. So I think that's a big part of it. And look, they're changing the price no matter what. So there's nothing we can do about that, I don't think.
There's not, but I think guys are going to think like I am, and that's where I think they could bite them. I think guys are going to be like, okay, well, I don't need all this extra stuff. I'm just going to buy a basic hunting license and a deer tag, or if they're an elk hunter, just a basic hunting license and an elk tag. And it's actually going to, I think, potentially could decrease the revenues that ODFW has.
The last 2 years, I think I didn't buy a sports pack. I bought one since I was 18. So that's 19 years I bought a sports pack in a row. And even if I never had any intentions of going that year, I'm too busy, whatever, gone, I still bought one in case I came back, or like, hey, here's some money type thing. But this year I just bought a hunting license, a deer, and a bear tag,
Mhm.
and then I bought the salmon and steelhead because I love that. I mean, that's really my fishing wise. You know, I like going to the lake and catching trout too, just like anyone else. But the salmon, winter steelhead's like one of my favorite things to do.
And that's the thing. I mean, right now it should be going on, but the rivers are all blown out. But honestly, the last couple of years hasn't been very good.
Oh no,
you
it's
know?
been terrible. One thing I'm really kind of happy about that they knocked out those dams down south, and there's salmon back
Yeah.
after a century. So that's promising that
The
they
salmon-
will come back.
Yeah, the salmon fishing has been good, and honestly, like the coho are going strong. So this year was just a bumper coho year.
Yeah,
So I got to go out one time with my buddy Brent, who's been on the show a few times, and Jay Yellis, and they fish together all the time. And those guys just, Jay was a pro bass fisherman, but now that he's out of that space, he loves to catch salmon and steelhead.
which
That's
is cool to see the transition.
Oh yeah, that's his thing. And so, but they do this jig twitch fishing, like the
For coho, yeah.
yeah.
I've done a little bit of it.
And I've never done it. And so we go out there and everybody else is trolling. And Jay hooks a fish right away. And you could keep one silver. So we were each trying to get one in the boat so we could keep fishing for Chinooks.
Yeah.
And so anyway, then Brent hooks this fish, hands me the rod because he's messing with the boat. And he's like, hey, you reel it in, you can tag the next silver. And I'm like, I don't think this is a silver. It was like ripping line and like, and you're fishing pretty light gear. And sure enough, we net it and it's a Chinook. And so I ended up getting it, that was awesome. And then we got one more silver on the jigging, and then we picked up the third silver with like egg and bobber kind of thing. But we had 4 fish in the boat, and the trolling guys hadn't done anything. You know.
I think Jay likes that so much because it's so bass fishing adjacent.
Yes.
It's very similar to what he's been doing. So I think that made it easy transition, and it's a much bigger fish.
Oh yeah.
And I remember so my cousin's a guide, and a couple of us went out on his boat, and we had a guy who didn't do a lot of fishing, and he was like, "What's it look like for a Chinook?" Like right as he's saying it, the rod right behind him is, I mean, it's a dumping line.
Yeah.
And my cousin goes, just like that, and it's a ripping so hard he couldn't barely get it out of the rod holder.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like I think, I mean, that just hearing that peel off and getting it and feeling that power of that fish, it's so much fun, and that gets a lot of guys into Chinook fishing, I think.
Oh yeah. So I mean, salmon still fishing, I love it,
Yeah.
but I just haven't made time for it the last few years,
You can't
and I've
do
been
everything.
more focused on the hunting.
Yeah.
And so, but there's going to be guys opposite of me that are going to be more focused on fishing. So they're going to be like, hey, I don't need the sports pack anymore. I'm just going to get a fishing license and a salmon steelhead.
I'd be very interested to see what the next couple years, how it turns out. Maybe the first year it doesn't affect it, but when you see a sports pack $300,
yeah,
and it's not getting better,
yeah,
you know, if things really start turning around, and I don't know how they are going to turn around in 5 years, but people would be okay with it.
yeah.
That's the reality.
But also, like the pricing thing for me, you're pushing people to a place where they can almost go out of state for the same money
Yeah.
and have potentially more opportunities.
But also too,
at least in the hunting space.
I was thinking about that too, but there are states now. I did some reading recently, and there are states that are reducing the number of out-of-state tags, jacking the prices up, because, you know, their whole thought is if people are going to come here anyway, why not get more money out of them?
Right.
Which is fine. I understand that aspect of it for sure, but yeah, we're in definitely a weird spot, you know.
Well, yeah, you look at Idaho, and they just went to the controlled hunt process where you have to apply, I think, this month.
Yeah.
And you know, whereas it was like open season, and I think their resident hunters were like, hey, we're tired of license plates from everywhere else being in our neck of the woods. And so now, I mean, obviously it was a huge revenue generator, but I mean, I went on that 1 year, and I want to say like the elk tag was maybe $600 and the mule deer tag was maybe $300. So you're in about $1,000, but the numbers of animals over there compared to what we've got is just unreal.
Well,
I mean,
I complain
elk
about
herds
that.
are huge.
Yeah, I complain about that too. Like when we're in Central Oregon and like fishing, I see some guy, you know, with a license plate from somewhere where I'm like, what are you doing here?
Right.
And then I just got to take a step back and realize, you know, these are for everybody.
Yeah.
We just bogart it so much. I don't want you here, you know.
Right.
You know, and you just gotta realize, like, you know, it's not just for me. It's not my deer type thing.
Yeah.
And I hope that Alaska doesn't jack up their prices too much because we talked about going to Alaska,
Doing a moose hunt.
doing a moose hunt, and the tag's like $800, and we're like really doing the math. I'm like, wow, this is actually
Well, we found an outfit where it was you stay at their lodge for
$300
$300 a day, and they recommend like a 10-day stay. So
of
you're
course
like,
they do.
but you're like $3,000 in, but they give you the boat, and basically you just go hunt your own moose.
Hunt the river system.
Yeah,
And I thought like, wow, that's really. I mean, I feel like by the time we're done, we're gonna be like $5-6 grand in.
mhm.
Plane tickets, getting the meat back.
True.
And I was thinking about it the other day because my wife asked me like, "Hey, when do you guys plan on doing that?" And I said, "Well, in February, if that guy's there again, okay, I'm gonna give it a real
Get more serious.
Get more serious
dig in
about
a little
it.
bit. Yeah.
But then I was thinking, I'm like, golly, man, we really only need one moose tag between the two of us.
True. That'd be
Even
plenty.
if I was trying to talk my cousin into going too, and like saying, "Hey, man, I'll pick up your plane ticket and part of your stay." Because there's no one I trust more running a boat than him.
Well,
Especially
once-
places we've never been.
Oh yeah, and I
And I
don't
trust
have
him
that
with
much
my
boating
life.
experience. And once you get the moose on the ground, then you can focus on fishing. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you turn it into a fishing trip
And I'm
too.
thinking
You bring
about,
home a
like,
bunch of salmon.
A
So.
small one is still going to be more meat than three families really
Oh,
need.
that's true.
You know.
Yeah, and there's something about that. The older I get, it's more about the adventure than pulling the trigger. And where when I was a kid, I was just like always had to pull the trigger. But
geez.
now as
Terrible.
an adult, like even hunting with my son last year versus harvesting a deer myself this year, I enjoy hunting no matter what. But seeing it through his eyes and having him experience it was more fun for me.
Man, that
you know.
smile on someone's face,
Yeah,
just like it. And you know, it's strange to say, I got a little bit of that with you
on the
It's-
pigeon.
on the
yeah.
pigeon hunt because it's
Yeah.
like, man, I've been telling my friend about this.
Yeah,
First of all, he didn't believe me.
yeah.
Now he's here. He's having a good time.
Oh man, I loved it.
It was, you
Yeah.
know, and you get the inverse. That is when, I don't know how long it was after that we did the grouse thing.
Yeah, not very long.
Not very long.
One
We did
week,
that.
week or two. Yeah.
And it's like you were looking for a shotgun for a pigeon hunt, and then I was looking. I'm like, man, I need a nice. I have a 22, a couple of them, but I was like, kind of need a nice one.
Yeah, because you can legally kill, grouse with a 22.
Yeah.
And we always do like a single shot type setup.
Yeah.
You head shoot them. You're not wasting any meat.
I didn't head shoot a single one.
Yeah.
I shot that.
Yeah.
Very hard to shoot a little bob and bird at
Right.
60 yards or
Yeah.
100 yards because I thought, oh, you're like, there's one, and I'm like, oh, I'm for sure.
Yeah.
I'm a good shot.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. And I was talking to my buddies about it. He's like, how'd it go? And I'm like, man, those things. Every time I just get right, like, okay, now, you bob his head down. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, now bob his head up. And I'm like, will you just stand still?
Yeah, they're always moving that.
They're
head.
always moving
You
that
almost
head.
got to go almost like neckish.
Yeah,
give
this was my
yourself a
first
little-
time. I had to get over, it wasn't like buck fever,
Right.
but just like, oh my God, there's one. It was real quick. We kind of got lost in the hills a little bit because it's been some time.
Yeah.
And you did the thing that I've done to people where like, yeah, we go up here, and then you're like, I haven't been here in a while. It's like, oh,
Right.
great, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've done that too.
Drive around in circles
Drive
for a little
around.
bit.
But we found it.
Yeah.
We found the spot, and I think maybe we might have found a good bandtail spot. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go back early on. And
Yeah, we
check.
saw some pigeons
Saw
up
some
there. Yeah.
pigeons up there. We saw a deer, a big, beautiful doe.
It was a good day.
It was fun.
Weather was good, and
Oh,
yeah,
it
we
was
didn't bring home any
beautiful.
grouse, but
Yeah, but
The-
we
the other
packed
thing
it.
that's nice, sometimes you can find some mushrooms too up there. If
I
you
was-
time it right with the weather, and
I have
the
such
mushrooms weren't out yet. but-
I've never picked mushrooms. I have a lot of apprehensions.
chanterelles, there's
Sure, and
no way
I
to not.
have some friends, Russian friends that do it quite a bit, and they're like, they've been doing it for generations. They're experts at it. But I thought it was cool too because we got a couple shots. We didn't hit any. It is like the first one that we saw. I was like, man, that bird is tiny.
Mm.
But then you were like, no, that is just a small bird. And then later on we saw something that were like, wow, that's actually a good sized bird,
Mm.
and they are really cool looking. But we ran into that guy that was driving through. I was thinking about this, and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" We're like, "Oh, grouse hunting." He goes, "Huh?" He's like, "I don't like the way they taste." And he's
Yeah.
like, "I'm going camping." He just drove off.
Yeah.
I was like, "Really?"
Yeah.
It was just a weird.
Wow,
little-
out in the middle of nowhere.
out
Yeah.
in the middle. We didn't see another person. I don't
Yeah.
think the
No.
whole time.
And I don't know, any day in the woods is a good day.
That's what.
And
I
it's there's so many different things that you can do, and it's kind of nice to add just another, I've never thought about doing that, and you and I talked about it'd be cool, and I don't know if it's how practical it is, but to just try to harvest every species we could get in the state,
Yeah.
as far as like in the game bird space, and you'd have to put in for your sage grouse permit and
Yeah, I think
stuff
it's
like
going to
that.
be hard. I think the sage grouse is going to be a tough one because it is a permanent system. They don't give out too many of them. The other one that I did get, and it's the first waterfowl I ever killed, was a Wilson snipe.
Oh.
They're really tiny. They kind of look like a woodcock.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first waterfowl I ever killed. I'm not going to count it though,
Mm.
because I killed it by chance.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
You weren't intentionally
I
going
was not
targeting
in-
that species.
No, it was actually the first time I went duck hunting
Mm.
ever. I never did that in my youth, and we're out on some private land, and I just shot it, man. I just shot this poor bird, and the guy I was hunting with, we called him Nacho. He goes, "Wow, dude, that's rare." And I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to shoot. I was allowed to shoot this thing. It just caught me off guard because it came in like a duck.
Yeah.
You know, it came right like that. And just by chance, I shot it. And he's like, "That's a snipe, man. That's really like rare." Okay, because they're mostly out on the coast. So with this far inland, it was kind of rare. And I gave it. My friend ate it, and he's like, "Yeah, it's a little different." And I got a couple ducks under. You know, I have a wood duck. I have a pintail.
See, I've never duck hunted.
We're gonna go.
I need to go out
We
and
talked to
duck
one of the guys at Pigeon Hunting. He has a lease here. I ran into him 2 weeks ago. He said it's been terrible because the weather's been too nice. Now we're getting rain. He's hoping, you know, there's
How long does the season go?
into next year.
Okay, so we got some time.
We do have some time, yeah. And now that we're getting rain, I think he's seen like 20 or 30 birds a day instead of 300.
Yeah.
You know, and I've talked to other people, and they said it's been pretty slow, and a lot of the weather up north really affects driving birds down, from what I've been told. And I told him, like, "Hey, Sam and I don't care if there's birds. I'm like, oh, I'll bring some snacks. We'll just hang out in the blind and shoot the shit a little bit."
And 20 to 30 birds, I'm still gonna be happy. Like, even you guys kept saying how slow the pigeon was, and I was like, we had plenty of stuff to shoot at. I'm happy.
Well, sure, there is plenty of stuff to shoot at, but I mean, I just want you to go and see it. Like,
see it when it's full glory.
Yeah, because
we should just go pre-season when they're flying like crazy just to check them
go
out.
Down there, and do mow the ground, like do a little bit of upkeep for Ron, and but back in the day, like
we should do that, and we should sit down and talk to him and be like, okay, what's your transition plan?
I know
we need to figure this out.
And it's just like I want to keep it going, but back in the day, I mean, still when it was 2 birds, sometimes you pull the trigger and 3 go down. So then you're in this weird spot, like, you know, no one had ever, like, a lot of guys just self-reported, and they're just like, okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people like it's a pigeon, even at OFW, because they didn't really recognize that it was a game bird, what we were talking about. So that there's that weird in between. But I'm really stoked. Like after that day, we went grouse hunting. I called a couple of my buddies. I go, "Hey man, we should get into this. Yeah, it's just something to do."
There's a lot of grouse, and a lot of people, you know, they just bring a small gun with them, like that 20 gauge I got, or 22. And you're mushroom hunting or deer hunting, you're doing something different, but then you happen to run into some grouse and you can harvest them.
I want to eat one.
Yeah, I think they're really tasty. I was surprised that guy didn't care for them. They're white meat though, instead of like the red meat, like the pigeons. Yeah.
Yeah, the pigeon's more livery deer tasting.
Yeah, and they're more like chicken.
Chicken,
you know.
Which look, I love chicken.
Yeah, I mean, and they call them, I don't know, prairie chicken or something like that. But like a lot of times you'll see them on the road. They're picking up little pieces of gravel to put in their, you know, gizzard or whatever.
Yeah. And they're not a very intelligent bird.
No,
from the south.
They're still hard to kill though. That's the hard part.
Well,
I mean, they're not like a pigeon that's flying in super fast.
Because they're jittery.
Yeah. They're like you said, the
never,
head bobbing.
They're never standing still. And we drove them up, and there was that one set of the bigger birds later on in the day, right before we ran into that guy, that we drove them up in a tree. And let me tell you, you will not find them in a tree.
They're so hard to see.
They are. I'm like,
that's
he's right there.
That's the best way to get them though, is when they're in the tree.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's right there in that tree, and I have binos, and I'm telling you, you cannot, unless you get it to move, you will not find that bird.
Yeah, they're perfectly camouflaged.
It's very like, I did not take my eyes off him. I grabbed the binos, and I'm looking, and I'm like, he's gone.
Yeah.
He like disappears.
The only thing we ran into was ruffed grouse, but if you run into the blues, they do stick out a little better just because of their color. You know, that bluish gray kind of color.
It's like kind of like they disappear, and it's like I was telling you about the pigeons. It's like a video game, man. They just render. Yeah, they're here all of a sudden.
That's true. You did say that. Like just poof.
Yeah,
here they are.
There's a bird.
Yeah.
and because they come up so secret along that river, and they just pop over.
It's like the old Nintendo where that dog comes out and laughs at you. That could have been me that day.
Yeah.
You know, the dog was just like,
Just
dude,
like
this guy
this
thinks he's
one.
gonna hit these things with a 16 gauge.
Well, I killed that one down there. It was just standing on a rock on the river, and I'm like, "Give me your." I didn't bring my rifle.
You thought maybe it was hurt or something.
I think that maybe it got clipped.
Mm-hmm.
One of the older guys shot it, or who knows what, and it didn't. A lot of birds will startle and like get up, but it didn't move, and I didn't bring my shotgun. I was like, "Give me your shotgun," and I kind of like, it was like
that bird wasn't getting away.
it was like 7 yards, but he blew the hell out of it. Poor bird, you know. And then I realized your shotgun is so light, it's not very comfortable to shoot.
No, it kicks a little bit.
I probably wouldn't buy one.
Yeah, too light for you.
Just a little bit. Well, yeah.
I like it, but I also liked it with a particular round. So I would go through these different rounds, and I have these.
So it's sensitive. Auto 5s are super sensitive. Even they don't. I've heard like the new ones, like the Wicked Wings, like a little bit more higher end camo duck guns. You can put anything through them. I don't think that's necessarily true. With my old one, you saw it wouldn't eject, and there's problems with it, but that thing had been sitting for.
Well, and how I ended up with that shotgun is I wanted a shotgun for pheasant hunting. That was like during the COVID time where guns were just not anywhere.
Yeah.
And I went into Sportsman's and they had it sitting there, and I'm like, oh, I've always kind of been interested in 16 gauges. Yeah. And it had some scratches on it, and I talked them into giving me a discount because it was a brand new gun. But it was
still like $1,000 though, wasn't it?
Probably. Yeah, it wasn't cheap. I try to forget the prices of things. But anyway, the what I don't like about it is a wood style stock, but when you take it apart,
it's a veneer.
Yeah, and it's this little teeny plastic.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Weatherby,
the new ones.
I tell people like Weatherby's the best gun rifle manufacturer in the country right now. They're still made here, and.
But the new ones even feel a little plasticky to me.
Well, some of them do a little bit.
Depends on the style.
Like not like this.
Yeah, they have a
not like that, but
so I've been geeking out on Weatherby lately, and I just go on Weatherby.com because you told me you can buy the vintage boxes. You can only buy them on there, and then when they're sold out, they're gone.
Also, I went to a little gun show down in Albany. It was not worth the drive from Salem, but there was a guy selling original box like with ammo in it.
Oh, that's cool.
And I took some pictures, and I was like, golly. I mean, I don't need the ammo.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of it was like 416 Weatherby, so it had the or 416, and it had the elephant on it.
Yeah, and the 300s have a tiger on them.
Yeah, and so if I had a gun room like in my next house, that's the plan. If everything works out.
I've got one of those old boxes, but they have the vintage box right now. But as soon as it's sold out, kind of thing. But
how much are they too?
They're like $100.
Yeah,
but it comes with a full round.
Yeah.
But still, I've been looking on Weatherby.com. They did a short run knife, $1,200, sold out.
Yeah.
This is their 80th anniversary. So
did you see the rifle?
Yeah, they did that 80th anniversary gun, sold out, $12,500.
All a work of art.
Yeah, but it also had carbon fiber barrel, which I thought was really cool. So it had some old and
I don't know, for 12.5 grand, I'd like steel.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's more nostalgic.
Sure.
But from a shooting perspective and a lightness of your gun,
those guys, they care.
Mm-hmm.
They care. And my sister was going to move to Wyoming, and I told her, please get a job there.
Please go to Weatherby.
Please go to Weatherby. I just need a discount.
I need that family discount.
I need a family discount because I've never owned one, and slowly throughout time, and a lot of it has to do with you guys. It's kind of like, made me start thinking about them a little bit, considering them, looking at them.
And there's some really cool custom gun makers too. I've been geeking out on some of these guys, like even like the Blazers. I think are really cool looking guns.
The R8 with the straight pull, you can get different. So Fred sold one, $2,800. Had 2 barrels. One was a 257 Weatherby barrel. I don't remember what the other one was. And I was like, I mean, that's.
So that's the other gun that I have. That's Weatherby.
That's the less than half price of what that firearm is new, because they're like $6 grand for his.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was crying. Like late, I was like driving home. I'm like, why didn't I just call him? Like, and get that gun. Like if I knew, I would have bought that because of the versatility of it and straight pull, how well they're manufactured.
There's some cool guns, and some of these guys are making, like Montana, I think Rifle Company or something. They
Very
make some
nice.
really
Cooper
cool
makes
wood.
some cool guns.
And I'm into the wood guns. I just am.
Well, that's
I'm
why
not gonna
Brownie
shake
needs
it.
to be ashamed a little bit by the quality of wood
Mhm.
on that gun.
Yeah.
When you showed me that, I told my uncle about that. He's like, I'll never buy one.
Mm-hmm.
That is nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean,
When they go to
I
a
think,
veneer.
well, and I think part of it is like maybe wood's hard to get.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Well, it's
I'm
just
wondering.
a cheaper, easier I mean, you
So they're
saw
making more
it's-
margin on
it's
it?
thin, and people don't care anymore. People want functionality. The gun still shoots good. The inertia-driven stuff, all
Yeah.
that stuff is cool, but I don't know. There's just
I looked at that and I was just like, you
Yeah.
gotta be out of, you
I
gotta
know.
be kidding me.
I know.
For that price, why would you do that?
I know.
And maybe the wood's, I was talking to someone about it and they think maybe the wood's hard to get and it's super expensive now. That could be the case. Well, you gotta think about it. Back in the day, lumber was costing nothing.
Yeah.
You know, they would build commercial buildings with lumber. Now it's all steel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so that's just one way to think about it.
And the other thing with the gun thing that I've geeked out on a little bit, I've been watching YouTubes of guys restoring.
Oh,
So
that's
because
super cool.
these guns have some nicks and dings, and I'm
Yeah.
like, and there's an art to that,
You can
and a lot of
iron that
different
out a
ideas.
little bit.
Yeah, a lot of different ideas of like how you scrape it and how you do it, and less is more.
Sure.
You know, just being really careful and like using the right oils and different things. And I'm not ready to take that
I
on.
think
That's
you
a
should do
retirement
it
project.
with the 16 gauge because look,
Oh yeah.
it's not like you're gonna hurt its value.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It'd
Yeah.
be a good one.
What's funny is a gun like that, 1929, in good condition, is still a $600 to $900 gun
So what's
for a
that
gun
worth,
that's
you
almost
think?
$200 or $300 probably.
And maybe
Yeah.
that might be something for you and your son to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you can buy the wood for nothing, but that wood. seems
But also
fun.
the old patina is cool too.
Yeah.
But to your point, the buttstock being basically a hunk of concrete on the back. You know.
I shot an Ithaca. So I have a little 20 gauge that was kind of like all of our guns growing up. Like when you became a certain age, like that's what you'd shoot at the Pigeon Hole because it's a 20 gauge, but it's really small.
Mhm.
It has a steel butt plate. And my uncle not this year, but the previous year brought one.
Do those guys bring different guns every year?
I brought, okay, hold on, I'll tell you all the guns I brought for 2 days. It's ridiculous. But he had an Ithaca, it's a Model 37, so they're bottom eject, which is super cool, in 16 gauge. And I said, well, why don't you leave that? Let me shoot that. And he's like, okay. It rattled your teeth.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not joking. Like, it hurts your jaw shooting that thing. I'm like, I don't want this.
Right.
Because I was going to try to get, I have the 20. I'm like, oh, get the 12.
Yeah.
Get the 16. I'll have the little set. And after I shot that like 6 times, I was like, I'm not interested in none of this. You know?
Well, I'm bringing a 12 gauge that my dad has.
Sure.
So my dad's got a 12. He's got two 12s and a 16. So he's got an old Mossberg pump.
Perfect.
And then, but I'm not gonna bring that one. So he's got
yeah.
he's got a side by side, like an
cool.
older 12. I
Like
don't
an LC Smith or a Fox.
It could be an LC Smith. I can't
Those
remember.
are real common.
But yeah,
If it's a Parker, don't bring it.
I don't remember when he picked it up,
Yeah.
but I just want to try it and shoot it and see. Is it longer? It seems like a fairly long barrel.
Probably 30 inches. Probably
Yeah.
full.
Yeah, it's full.
Yeah. So,
So-
it's probably an LC Smith, which was super common.
Mhm.
And the reason why I say don't bring a Parker, unless it's like, because those are, they haven't made those in a very long time.
Mm.
So they're kind of valuable in
Mm.
different grades. So I brought the Model 12 and 20 gauge Winchester. I brought the Auto 5 Magnum 20. I brought 2 Berettas, a 686 Black Onyx, a 300 Outlander. I think that's what it's called.
You're ready.
Yeah, I bring them all because I'm like, I'm not shooting this one good right now. So.
Yeah.
And I brought my favorite, the Super X3 Winchester. It's a little bit older, it's beat to hell. But I use it for ducks. I use it for everything, right? That's like my go-to, and I don't care. It's
Yeah, didn't you have one with kind of a bend in the
That's
barrel?
the,
Yeah,
no, it's in the rib.
Oh,
I dropped it down
yeah,
on
it's
the
not in
river.
the actual barrel.
It's
yeah,
in the rib, and then for like 3 years, it didn't have a fiber optic in it. So I'm just looking down the barrel, which you don't need a fiber optic.
No, it's nice.
It's point and
but-
shoot. It's a nice.
yeah.
It's point for low light. It's a nice first thing in the morning, but it's a point and shoot game.
Mhm.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
And,
it's instinct. Bird hunting to me is a lot of instinct. It's, people try to tell you, and everybody, even with the pheasant, they're always like, "You're not leading them far enough," which I'm probably not.
well, you can tell.
But like you just play on instincts and use both eyes open. Ideally, I think.
I try. I think that you, it's instinct. Don't think, just react.
Mhm.
Because when I get into the whole aiming thing, like you're
Yeah.
shooting an iron sight rifle, you're not hitting nothing.
Right, and it's just time behind the gun.
Remember the one I shot that was crossing right to left, way out there?
That's a good shot. Yeah.
Pretty good shot. I just pointed and got the speed down. And if you watch those birds specifically, they will you'll get that belly feather out. So if you're too far behind, and they'll flare back if you're way too far in front of them. So if you really pay attention to the bird real quick, and also too the other thing, you can't not shoot a bird all year that come out there and think you're going to start knocking
Sure,
it down.
that's
the
true.
other part of
That's not the first bird to shoot at, which it was for me.
it. You killed one the second day for sure. You got your bird.
First shot. Yeah.
First shot, and
Yeah.
I was happy with it. But you know when you're on. You know.
Oh yeah, and I think once you get that rhythm, but also it's like, I'm also one of those guys that I'm not going to miss my opportunity. I'd rather shoot and miss than not shoot at all. If it's the right opportunity.
Yeah.
Back to the running game, maybe not shoot at all.
Well, now you know for next year, because if you don't come, they're gonna ask.
Oh, I want to come.
Heck yeah, man.
We don't know what happens with life. I mean, it's
too hard to say.
Yeah, but I definitely plan on being there.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of fun. It's nice getting someone into it. It gives you an excuse to buy another shotgun. Because you're like, I'm gonna bring my dad, so you're gonna buy one.
Yeah.
There'll be another gun show between here and now. Yeah. I ran into the same thing. I'm like, I need a 22. And my wife's just like, no, you don't.
Yeah, my gun safe is getting a little full.
Mine's completely full, and they're under my bed now.
Right.
That's
when you know it's becoming.
I got one in the closet, and I'd like, before we went grouse hunting.
Yeah.
So I brought a rifle, because I had a bear tag. The Ruger number 1 and 30. I think it's the first time you saw that, right?
Mm-hmm.
30.
It's a nice gun.
It's a cool gun. Has a Berry X2 on it. I brought that, but it's under I keep that one under my bed because I had wanted one for so long. And kind of expensive now, which is unfortunate because they're a really cool gun. And I had like 4 other ones in front of that. And I'm digging them out under the bed of my wife. Comes in her bedroom, she's like, Jesus Christ. And I was like, hey, this is a Hayden problem.
Yeah.
Because she went into my grandfather's gun room when we first got together 15 years ago. And she was like, is it going to be like this for you? I'm like, yeah. That's just, my uncle's the same way. I'm the same way. And I don't know. I just like them.
I had one gun for so long, and then all of a sudden I had a shotgun and a pistol and 1 deer rifle.
I started getting out of the pistol thing, really.
Yeah. And now I have 2 pistols, and
I know, which is a cool buy because you need a pistol. That's the other part about the pigeon thing. We're like bouncing around and stuff, but they get up into the trees, and you need a pistol to drive the birds up. And if you notice, it doesn't ever work. It gets them up, but it's not like they come into your doorstep.
Right.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Like, we need to kick the birds up, shoot your gun off, but they fly the other direction.
Well, and I even thought, so where we deer hunt, now that's changing a little bit, but like my son is probably gonna have the youth tag over there. And what we started last year, I threw a rock which jumped the buck that my son ended up killing. And this year we kept throwing rocks, and we were jumping on bedded deer that we didn't even know were there. And I thought even like a little pistol that you could fire into the bank or whatever to get them up. I have to read up on like legalities on that. I don't really know.
Are there grouse over there?
There is, but very far and few between. There's not a lot, like at least where we're at.
Sure.
Antelope hunting, sage grouse everywhere.
Really?
Where I got my antelope, and
but you can't kill those.
No.
Because it's like a $50,000.
$50,000. Yeah, exactly.
Which is
and so
wild.
we were going by this private ranch, and there was antelope on it. And we talked, the kid just happened to be driving up, and we talked to him, and then we ended up getting to hunt on his property, which was cool. But he told us that, he goes, people just don't know what they are, and they'll shoot them, and if they get caught, it's $50,000.
Well, how many do you see hit on the road?
Tons of them. Yeah, he said so they did his dad runs this 10,000 acre ranch that's owned by like an IBM executive or something. But they run the farm for the guy, and they run cows and all this, and it's a tax write-off for that guy.
Yeah.
But they restored the property for sage grouse habitat. There was like a big grant or something for that. And so they planted everything in juniper and and so they just have a ton of them there. I mean, it's just this huge, basically sage grouse refuge, if you will.
I've never been over there and really messed with it.
They're a cool bird, but they're not real smart, either.
Some things might go extinct.
I mean, a lot of these birds, they don't have a lot of brain room. That's.
Oh no, they don't. And I'm not saying pigeons are smart by any means, but they make you feel dumb.
Well,
when you're shooting them.
And it's that whole vision thing, and just they are a more intelligent bird than I think a lot of birds are.
I think people for that kind of hunting are not used to it, in which the speed. So a duck cups its wings, right? They
come in like that.
Sound like a little jet, super cool. Same thing with geese, they're coming into something. You don't have that there. They're blowing right past. So I think it's hard. No other animal that we're really hunting is moving at such quick speed across such a short distance on our end.
Right.
Over there, where the old guys are hunting, they have 80 yards. Did you notice that?
To see them coming in.
They're like, Mark? I'm
Yeah.
like, where's that bird? It looks like a speck.
Yeah.
You know, there's no points where we're at to say Mark. So that's
Right.
the thing. A bird comes, you say Mark.
And you're shooting. Yeah, for us, it's you don't do that.
It's like, oh,
yeah,
bang.
whatever. But again, it's a respect thing. Those guys have earned
I'm
those
all, hey,
spots.
I don't even care if I pull the trigger.
Yeah.
I'll go out there and stand with an empty shotgun.
Yeah.
It's about spending time with the old guys. And I love it because I've known them my whole life.
I love that you're closing us out with that. I'll sit out there with an empty gun. Because Brent and I did a podcast a while back, and he was talking to this old guy who was sitting all day salmon fishing. And the guy had a hunk of lead across the river. He was just sitting there with his rod. He wasn't even trying to catch a fish.
I like it.
But there's just something, you're out there for a different purpose.
Yeah.
It's not about the harvest.
Well, man, my phone rings all day. We've been here for an hour, almost 2 hours. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people text messages. I have 18 missed phone calls. Been here for an hour and a half.
Jeez.
So that's one of the things about when you and I do the grouse thing. We got up to a point and like my phone stopped ringing. I'm like, let's just drive around for a little bit.
Yeah.
We went on that walk.
Mm-hmm.
I got a picture of those trees with all that moss. And
Oh yeah, those are
we're
cool,
just
big
wandering
old growth
around.
trees. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I'm like, just that little exhale.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's the sad reality of life. Those guys are gonna be gone soon.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to get some stories out of them, you know, and hopefully
Secret tape recordings.
I want you to listen to them. They're out there. They're not very. So I got 2 different kinds. I have some out at the pigeonhole.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of hard to hear because the phone's kind of like in my pocket. I'm like standing on the side, you know. And also, you gotta understand, my grandfather's crazy.
Yeah.
He was a crazy guy. I love him, man. He's just
We just mic him up when
But
we get there. Hey guys,
I wish we
put these on.
could do that. I
Yeah.
wish they'd be open to that. And then the other half of the recordings I have are actually in his house. And it was when we were in between my grandmother's passing and his passing, we were doing a bunch of genealogy stuff.
Mm.
And so we would ask him questions about, do you remember this person? Because they were alive when he was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, so trying to get some of that stuff. And then you start like digging up like their past a little bit,
Yeah.
you know, which is like, ugh. You know, my grandma's like, I wish you didn't know that. And I was like, I'm like, you're my grandfather. Like, I don't care, you know.
Yeah.
So I try to ask them questions and try to get their youth. So I'm trying to do that with Fred quite a bit. You know, he's 81. He did have a kind of a wild life. He was all around. He was in the war, and just trying to get stories. You know, if you notice, he started over there with before the story he started was actually before he was born. I don't know if you picked up on that. He would say the Indians.
He wasn't real nice to me in the beginning.
No, well, he's not nice. He's still kind of not nice to me sometimes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
No, but the next day he was.
Yeah, he was.
You were like just one of the boys.
Yeah.
Which is a great feeling. But he started the story, I don't know if you picked up, before he was born. The Indians used to hunt him up there on the mountain.
Oh yeah.
Remember
I remember that? Yeah.
With single shots, muzzle loading shotguns,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where he started. So it's kind of cool to pick up on that stuff, and that's why I don't
Yeah,
mind
if
standing
nothing
there
else,
with an empty shotgun.
writing that stuff down, even if it's not audio recordings.
Yeah.
It's like get home, sit down with a journal.
Well,
jot
I've been
some
told
of
that
stuff
same
down.
story for the last 25 years,
it's
so I
pretty
know
good.
it's burnt into my memory
Yeah.
a little bit. But yeah, no, I think that's a lot of it, and that's why I don't mind just, you know, I didn't shoot for the first 2 hours we were there the first day because it was like, hey, Sam, you hang out here. I got to go talk to the fellas a
Yeah.
little bit.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
You
they
know?
don't like you, so just stay over here.
Stay over
away
here.
from them.
Tomorrow will be better,
Yeah.
type thing.
Yeah.
But it's fun, and it's like you said, it's not as I've talked about it quite a bit. It's not about pulling the trigger. It's not about killing stuff.
Yeah.
It's about getting out there. I mean, I got to show you something new. You showed me something new. Now that I'm super addicted to that, like just one more little thing we can do.
Yeah.
Drive up for a part of a day
Mm-hmm.
and knock it out.
Something you can play hooky for half your workday. Answer your 20 phone calls.
Yeah, oh God, it's terrible, man.
Yeah.
It's terrible. But, you know, it's fun. Hopefully, with the weather changing down, we'll have another one to record shooting some ducks.
That'd be
Which
great.
would be cool because have you killed any ducks?
Mm.
I got a couple. They're a lot of fun. They're a cool bird. And we're going to get to go with someone who he's going to come on the podcast.
Yeah.
He said he wants to come on.
He's a good shooter too.
His house I counted 114 mounts in his house.
Wow.
So very accomplished, which is gonna be super fun, and he's a great. I gotta have a little conversation with him because he's a little nuts too, right?
Well, everyone.
Everyone out there, everyone out there has an edge,
Yeah.
So that's gonna be fun, and then hopefully with the weather changes, we can do some fishing, and we also need to something we've talked about is
And now you got a book to read too.
I got a book to read, and I'm actually really excited to read it about it.
It's well written. There's a lot of cool things in there.
You were saying it's kind of more academic though.
Yeah, it's some heady stuff. I went pretty slow, and I did one chapter at a time, and just I'd read a chapter a night just to.
I mean, here's a biological hazards chart.
Yeah. There's some technical pieces, but then there's some storytelling at the beginning. It's a good balance, but also like it's heady enough that I wanted to absorb it, and I can't just like power through something and have it actually stick.
You think you want to read it again too?
Probably.
Sure.
I mean, he's going to come on the show once we figure out how to do a remote podcast. So
we'll figure that out. It's a learning curve, right?
Yeah.
I think like everybody, I think we get so complacent with our safety. And with the passing of that gentleman from the town I'm from, really made me think about it a little bit.
Well, and it's one of those things where you never think it's going to happen to you, and even if you think you're prepared, but in the woods it doesn't take much.
No.
And one wrong step and you're in trouble.
Yeah, I haven't got a lot of friends left, so if I lose you or one of the other guys, I'm going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Who am I going to go hunting with?
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time this morning.
Absolutely.
I know you're busy, and it's good. I've been harassing you for
Well,
a while to get you in here, and you got sick and
yeah,
life.
yeah.
And,
I have a petri dish for a daughter, so you know how
Yeah.
you remember, right?
Oh, I
You have
do. Yeah.
kids. So there's that, and then work, and then so you just every stuff comes up, and you just got to start making time to do these things. And
Yeah.
I always have fun, man. It's great, and I like to see the gun collection expanding.
Yeah, I wanted to
Which
bring
is
you my
great.
latest
And
stuff.
I think you made a
check
lot
out.
of great purchases. I got a great gift out of it. I actually don't think that this is a Seiko.
Knockout.
I think it's a Crico because it's a Model 603. We can talk about that later. And there's that guy down in Lebanon. This is very similar to one of the rifles that I was going to buy from him.
Huh?
So, and it was imported by Tradewinds too. So I think that you are fast approaching a fine collection of firearms.
I know, I like it.
I like it. All right. Thanks for having me. I
All right,
appreciate
buddy.
it.
Thanks for being here.
I really like it a lot, and I think that this is
The double trigger thing's kind of cool.
Well, that's his had one. Let me show you the picture because I think it's the
Could be
same.
the same gun.
I think it's the same gun.
That'd be crazy.
Not like that one I bought, or was going to buy, but it's very similar to that. Yeah. Look. So look at that picture, and look at this.
Yeah,
Tell me it's not the same.
it looks the same.
So this is a Krieg. It's called Kriegsmarine Schaschapandra. I don't speak German.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean,
And those are all three of those guns are imported by Tradewinds. Tradewinds, Tacoma, Washington.
and so they imported them, but they're Krakow, which is what is that?
It's a
European.
It's German Krico, Krico. But look at that.
Yeah, it's the same little dot.
It's a Krico. Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are 603s, and one of these is in 243. Actually, the middle one.
Well, he said it was someone that was trying to compete with Seiko, and he told me the name. But
So they have not made these since the 80s.
Hmm.
And how much did you pay this?
$550.
You know what he wants for that one? 1,300.
Really?
They're rare. They're rare. They haven't made them in a long time.
Well, yeah, and I mean, for me, it was just hold it up and look through the scope. It's like I instantly got sight picture. It just felt good. I was like, okay.
I really like these
Mhm.
Very X2s up a lot. I mean, how old is this scope?
Pretty old, probably.
Pretty old, and it's really nice.
And for blacktail over here, I mean, it's got that little short barrel.
Tighten it up a little bit.
Yeah, it needs a couple of things here and there. I haven't shot it yet.
Man, you should.
But it's in pretty good shape too.
I have tons of ammo. Wow, you should let me load some ammo for it.
243, man, that's my new gun. I have a Seiko 243, and I'm
Dude, I wish
I'm redoing the scope on that
I
one,
wish you let me buy this from you.
and then I'm doing
I want this so bad.
Well, then
'Cause I don't want to pay 1,300.
well, then I have a Parker Hale,
Which is also
243.
okay, man. I am getting
I
in.
paid $500 for it. as
Parker
well.
Hill. There's some tremendously good
I should turn
stuff.
off the recording.
There's a lot of good Parker Hills. Bye.